Florida State is the most overrated team going into the 2024 college football season, man. This team is far from a lock to make it into the playoffs this year. They're currently favorites to win the ACC over Clemson and Miami, and I just don't see it with Florida State this year. Are they going to be a trash team? No, they're not. I think they're going to be good enough to win 8-9 games, but I definitely can see them losing 3 games this year. First of all, you have DJ Uiagalelei at quarterback. And after what I saw from him in the spring game, he has not improved. He's looked like the same quarterback we've seen when he was at Clemson and when he was at Oregon State last year. He has inconsistent accuracy. He doesn't make good decisions with the football. He's a really good athlete, has a really strong arm, but DJ Uiagalelei is not a playoff caliber quarterback. And there's going to be a lot of close games that Florida State's going to find themselves in. And they're most likely going to lose those games because DJU just isn't that dependable as a quarterback. Plus, you got a really questionable wide receiving core. You lose Johnny Wilson and Keon Coleman to the NFL draft. Yeah, you have some talent there, but you don't have a lot of proven talent. You don't have a lot of proven production coming back at wideout. You brought in some talented guys from the portal, but from what we saw in the spring game, those guys struggled to separate. They were dropping passes. I have a homie that goes to Florida State who went to a couple of Florida State practices, and he said that, that offense ain't looking that good this year. Florida State is going to heavily rely on the run game this year, and they don't have a tough schedule. Their toughest games this year, you play SMU on the road, Clemson, Miami, and Notre Dame on the road. I can see them losing to both Miami and Notre Dame in those road games. And SMU is a game that potentially could be an upset. Clemson at home, that's winnable, but I think it's fair to see Florida State losing at least 3 games this year. I don't see this being a college football playoff contender. DJU has shown us time in and time out that he's not that good of a quarterback. He's not a bad quarterback, but he's not a great one either. If you were to ask me to rank my top 10 quarterbacks in college football this year, DJ Uiagalelei would not be on that list. Listen, Jordan Travis is one of the best quarterbacks in Florida State history. Going from him to DJ Uiagalelei is a massive drop-off. At Oregon State, there were games that they lost because he wasn't a consistent passer, especially in the fourth quarter. He's a really good athlete. He'll make some things happen with the ball in his hands on the ground, but this dude isn't it. And he's going to be the sole reason why Florida State doesn't end up being as good as what people think they will be. Clemson's quarterback, Cade Klubnik, he's not that good neither, but he's more dependable than DJ Uiagalelei. Hell, he ended up being the reason why DJU had to transfer from Clemson because he took his job. Cam Ward is one of the best quarterbacks in college football going into this year. He's way better than DJU. Hell, Preston Stone, the quarterback for SMU, he's better than DJU. DJU is a top 20 quarterback. People look at the numbers and they say he's very good. But if you watch the games, you know that he's the same quarterback now that he was at Oregon State and that he was at Clemson. Is he going to win you a few games? Yes, but he's also going to cost you a couple of games as well because he's just not that consistent as a passer. Florida State had a few guys out in the spring game, and the spring games are always weird because they have the roster shuffled. You got backups playing certain positions on the offensive line, and then you'll have some starters playing certain positions on the other side for the other team on the O-line, and you'll just have the first stringers mixed in with backups. It's just really hard to evaluate somebody from a spring game completely. I understand that. But I've seen enough out of DJU to know that the version of him that we saw in the spring game for the Noles, it's the same version that we're going to get come this season. Why? Because we've seen it from him the last decade he's been in college football. And I know he hasn't been playing that long, but it freaking feels like it. When is he finally going to go on to the next level? Because he's been playing college ball for a while. You definitely have to suspect that this has to be close to the end when it comes to his collegiate career. And he definitely is squeezing all the juice that he can out of that thing because he's not an NFL level quarterback. He's an above average college quarterback. He reminds me a lot of what Miami had a few years back and Malik Rozier. He has a strong arm. He'll make a couple of big throws every once in a while, but he's not a consistent passer. Mike Norvell has a really good coaching staff. He did a really good job of developing Jordan Travis, but DJU, for him only being there for a few months, he's not going to improve that drastically where all of a sudden he just looks like an all-world quarterback. Jordan Travis spent years in that Seminole system. He had years to be developed and to be coached up. DJU, at this point, he is what he is. That defense is going to be really good, and you better hope that that defense is just as good as what it was last year because you're going to need it to be. They have to make up for all the costly mistakes that DJU is going to cost you and the inconsistencies that you're going to have on offense with him being at quarterback. Your running back position is absolutely fantastic. Nobody does a better job at getting more out of their running backs than what Florida State does. They're one of the best schools in the nation when it comes to having high productive running back play. But your wide receiving core is severely lacking. That's not just me being biased. I'm not an FSU hater. There's FSU fans who I've been talking to on Spaces saying that, yeah, JT, all wide receiver position, we're not that confident into this season. Florida State is massively overhyped. I don't think they're a better team than what Clemson is this year, nor Miami. This is the best Miami team that they've had on paper since 2004, 2002. And I know it seems like we say that every single season, but this truly should be the year that Miami makes a legit run to win their first ever ACC title. And I believe that they beat Florida State in the process of doing that because they got a better quarterback. And I don't think that the coaching is going to be that big of Achilles heel this year. When you look at Mario Cristobal's track record, his third year is when he normally puts it all together and his teams have big years. I'm willing to bet money that Florida State does not win the ACC this year. Is this a weak conference? Yes, but I don't think they're going to be in the mix to win it because I don't see them beating Clemson nor Miami with DJU at quarterback. Dabo Swinney and those boys probably going to be laughing when they see DJU back up there making the same mistakes that forced Clemson to have to bench him for Cade Klubnik. I don't see it with the Florida State hype this year. I think that people are living in the recency bias when it comes to the Noles because they got screwed out of making it to the playoffs last year. We get that. But they haven't recruited at a level to make you believe that they're just simply going to relock and reload this year. They don't recruit at a level of Alabama or Georgia. And their last couple of recruiting classes have been decent, but they haven't been good enough where they have guys who are going to just step in for Keon Coleman and Johnny Wilson and whoever else, and they're just going to produce at a level just as high as what they did. It's going to take at least a year or two for them to get back to that playoff caliber level. So Florida State, to me, is getting way too much hype this season. I wouldn't be surprised if they end up having at least 3 losses this year.